Hello and welcome to another bulb log video diary supplement garden walk. Today I want to sort of look at some of this other plants that are flowering and speak a wee bit about habitat. Excuse me. Because that's what gardening is about. We're about creating habitats. Here we'll just stop because here's some interesting. This is the Erythronium Plunge Bed where erythroniums are growing in the baskets. And here's one of the early for us Erythronium dense Canis. This is a lovely dark form growing here. Really nice dark coloured flowers. But the bed I want to speak about that's looking really beautiful just now with the Hepaticas is this little area just at the side of the path. So it is the path we'll walk up in a minute on into the rest of the garden. And this was the area between the raised part of the sand plunge and the path that a few years ago, well I say a few, it's probably 5 or 6 now, I pulled out some little shrubs that were in there, little hebies, and used broken concrete to build a landscape, a crevice style landscape, which is now totally covered in moss. And in there I put some seedling Hepaticas and scattered in some seedling Corydalis that I had. And now they're really coming on into their own. The Hepaticas are looking lovely. They're establishing. They've got lots of flowers. And they're self-seeding. If I come down here you can see tiny leaf. So the concrete, much of the concrete now covered in moss, and into the moss we've got Hepaticas seeding. Here's a tiny one here. There's another one popping out down there, and here's one even right on the edge between the cracks of the bricks. Is self-seeded down there. So the bigger plants are my original plants, and they in turn are encouraging the self-seeding. The Corydalis are just coming out. They'll come on and join the Hepaticas. But there's an interesting range from there's a white, pure white, although this one's been out for a bit, so a few brown spots from the rain. We've got sort of pinky white, a reddy purple, and a sort of violet, and then this one a really deeper colour, although I'm not entirely sure that the same little camera's picking those colours up as true as I'm seeing them. So all along there it's about habitat. There's another little cluster here, a nice reddy pink one. So it's just the way you can create these little habitats around the garden. Up on the top we've got, in the rock garden, we've got the habitat for, now is mostly for bulbs, although you can see maybe see the Echinopsis are coming up there. There's Erythronium, there's lots of crocus. We've got the Pushkinia and Corydalis. So that's the bed there. The other side of the path I redid it as well and landscaped it with stone and concrete, and more recently planted out another range of Hepaticas along here. So it's going to mimic the other side, Hepatica, and here's a Ramonda. The ferns, of course, put themselves there, and Erythroniums put themselves there. So that's right next to one of the bigger bulb beds, where the hellebores, hellebores are coming. Again, they seed around. And up into the garden, some of the first of the snowdrops that came out are now getting a bit tired. Flowers starting to show the signs that they'll go over. If the temperature rises, they'll probably quickly succumb. And down here there's still snowdrops still coming out. Here's a group of some of the Plicatus hybrids. It's just coming out, so still looking fresh. But we can find habitats all around the place, and plants will put themselves in places we wouldn't think. So it's just a case of starting off, create a habitat, make some plantings, and then in many cases allowing the plants to sow themselves. And that's where I want to walk up towards what I call the new bed beside the pond, to have a look at the habitat there, and another more recently created habitat. But as we walk by, you can see the snowdrops that have been around. If we look at the ground, there's so much more just coming. So there's primroses, little corydalus, I can see erythronium coming through. Round here with the leucodiums, we've got more corydalus mulcensis, where the Eranthus hyemalis starting to go over. And everywhere around there's plants bursting through, choosing their own habitat often. So here's some erythroniums that are seeded out beyond the bed, and I can see some anemones coming through there as well. They've escaped the bed as well. So the beds are loosely defined now. They were delineated by the rocky edge at one time, but now the plants escape out, so the path is now defined by the paving slabs. So we can just walk round, and there's other areas. There's lots of stuff coming through the mulch. Oh, there's wow, I've just seen, hey, yep, Erythronium oregonum, an earliest of the Erythronium oregonums to come into flower. What I just removed there was the seed stem from last year that was still beside it. Still just a single plant. After many years, it's just a single plant. It's not increased. But it's because of the seed, there'll be seedlings around it, so that's how it increases, just like in nature, by seed. So let's spin round to you see more erythroniums that are seeded into the path there. Look at those leaves. Isn't that beautiful? Not that, that's a rhododendron leaf. The rhododendron's shedding some of its leaves. So we've got some lovely erythronium foliage. And if we come up here to the new bed beside the pond, dominant colour just now, guinea gold, Eranthus guinea gold. But if we get down and look, there's much more. I can see here in the trough, just on the edge, the colour coming in the buds of the Primula marginata. And here's a Narcissus cyclaminius seeded in to the trough, and you'll see how, if you look in with the colour, the same colour as the Eranthus Narcissus cyclaminius, dotting about all over the place. These were pots of seedlings that I planted out and will now just leave to self-seed, and I can see lots of thin seedlings coming up. So plants are self-seeding. The corydalus, the crocus, not the Eranthus, because guinea gold doesn't set seed. I don't want that Eranthus seeding here. The Eranthus I want to seed in here is this little fella here that's now out of flower, and this is Eranthus pinnatifida. We've got that in a few spots in this bed. And coming up here, Erythronium Quakassicum. This is the first of the Eurasians to flower. It's always flowers, so a few flowers further down the garden flowered a while ago. They are without doubt the earliest. These come a wee bit later, and by having seedlings they flower at different times. So I planted a lot of those out in this bed, and the plan is just to allow them to self-seed. Of course there's Erythronium sibiricums in this bed as well. This is an interesting little group here. This is Erythronium dens Canis, again a lovely dusky dark colour, and this is from Ukraine, the most easterly known outreach of this species. And you will notice, even with the flower dancing, I hope you can see that the anthers and the pollen is yellowy brown, not deep violet. And we've got this over a number of these forms that we've raised from seed from the Ukraine. More Narcissus cyclaminius. There's some poor little iris that have been battered there. These will be Iris reticulatus, probably wilds collected seedlings that we plant up here. So look, here's some more Eranthis pinnatifida, and there's more over here, so hopefully they will start flowering better next year. And there's lots to see. Oh, there's something else to see over here. This is the exciting bit, is when you start looking. Of course, we've got Hepaticas up here and other plants. The Ramonda's coming on. If we come round here to see what I want to show you here, is a trillium. This is an aeroplane coming in. Would be nothing coming for hours and hours, and then I pick up my camera and the aeroplanes start to arrive. But this is Trillium ovatum maculatum. I'm trying to get myself in closer to give you a better view. So there we have it. This beautiful little, very early flowering Trillium ovatum with the beautifully mottled leaves. So that's Trillium maculatum, ovatum maculatum. I also see there some buds right beside that stone. That's some of the orchids, cypripediums. So that's the habitat we created, and this bed's relatively recently created, and you can have a huge amount of interest in a small area. Let me just walk around a bit more in this shaded area where, again, in here I opened up from shrubs. There's, above me, there's pines and conifers and birch, acers, rhododendrons, and in the shade I've been trying to find plants that will go in there, and of course snowdrops and ferns do very well. Everywhere, of course, at the moment there's snowdrops, more and more crocus coming, and so many buds appearing. This bed's still looking quite bare, but will soon burst into life. But up this end we've got more Erythronium. Here we have another Erythronium Quakassicum. A nice little one. This one is doing well because it's forming a clump slowly. There was originally one bulb I planted, one seedling went in. Then there was two, and now I see a third coming right beside it. This one's got nice markings and very full petals. So when I finish this video, what I'll be doing is going out with my paintbrush and going around all the different Quakassicums we've got in flower at the moment and cross-pollinating to encourage more seed. The habitat of the wall, the face of the wall is great because look, there's a snowdrop, but more importantly for me is the Trillium rivalis that I've been encouraging to seed and plant themselves in the gaps of the wall, cascading down the wall. And every gap now you can see Trillium rivali buds, and there's a group up here on the top down the back there, which they'll appear soon right next to this lovely clump of Narcissus cyclaminius that is clumped up from a single bulb. I think every year there's another extra flowering stem, but it will reach the point, and that will probably be soon, where I need to lift this and split those bulbs apart, because if I don't do that, as you get too many bulbs too close together, they start to compete for nutrients and water, and they'll stop flowering. So this is the thing with clumps, that you do have to keep doing that, or they will start to stop flowering and then get smaller and smaller bulbs, because the intense competition between the offsets. And this is possibly one reason why we don't see too many clumping plants in the wild, because long term it's not a gardener in the wild, just lift them and split them. So they will become fierce competition between each other and gradually diminish, disappear. So I think I'll just head round here up the path, not do the whole garden because it's too much to see at the moment. Some more Narcissus cyclamenis. Well, I'm getting told to charge my battery pack, so I will have to speed on because I'm going to lose battery in a minute. So that's a good sign that I need to wander up here to finish off as we do. You can see plenty snowdrops in the bed and plenty stuff coming through the bed that was bare not long ago. Really well filled now. If my battery lasts out, I'll just come up and finish here my little talk about Hepaticas and habitat, how you plant a Hepatica in a lovely bit of a bed originally, and it comes out to the edge where it's growing best, hanging over the edge of the path. And there's so much we can learn from observing plants, how they grow and where we do. We think we do the best by them, putting them into a nicely dug bed in the middle with lots of space around them, and they choose to run to the edge and hang over the rocks and grow with other plants. So observe your plants, follow your plants, learn from them and enjoy them, most importantly. So I'll go before my battery crashes. Thank you very much for joining me in this Bulb Log Video Diary Supplement. See you next time.